All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody so we can get started here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. SMDC4S, what's going on? I stand relieved. What's happening? All right, awesome. Well, good to see everybody. So good. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about profitable day trading. We're going to use some techniques by the great trader Harry Boxer. So, found this in his book, the Profitable Day and Swing Trading Using Price Volume Surges and Pattern Recognition to Catch Big Moves in the Stock Market by Wiley Trading, published by Wiley Trading. So, anyway, we're going to go through a couple techniques this week, and today we're going to focus on, and most of the week we're going to talk about, we're going to introduce the intraday trend channels. We're going to talk about these trend channels this week and some techniques using those intraday. So, it should be really, really cool. Before we get started, before we get started, everything we're going to talk about this evening is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let me get this pulled up here. Let's get the SPX pulled up. And here we are. Strong month so far in December. We got a few days left, right? We got this week, a short week. So obviously, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope everybody's a great week. We're going to be trading even on the half day this week. So, but we'll be taking off, of course, when the market's off. So, we'll probably be there that evening. So to get ready for the next market day, just to kind of continue this and go forward with that. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and thank you everybody for your support. I really appreciate it always. All right, good stuff. So the month chart, green bullish hammer so far. Weekly chart last week finished with almost a Maribozu candle, a little bit of an upper shadow, so kind of give it that belt hold feel to it. But check out the daily chart, right? Bullish until proven otherwise, right? We're holding this trend line up, and we have a little bit of doji from Friday after a gap up. So one of the things I wrote in my newsletter this weekend, just to let our members know that, hey, it looks, my kind of theory is that like we'll probably pull back a little bit. Who knows? I mean, they could just keep pushing this thing up as far as they want to, right? Because we do have kind of like a little bit of a bump and run going right here, right? So we'll see if that holds as well. That's kind of the steeper trend line that we have going on. So we'll see if that holds, right? And then we'll see if we get a little bit of pullback, maybe a gap fill might get the bears kind of a little bit excited, like, hey, the top is in, let's do it. And then who knows, like, maybe it'll drop down, Christmas Eve, half day, and then we'll see like a big push up into the end of the year. It seems like for window dressing, things like that, they'll want to show that they're holding these positions into the end of the year. And then who knows, maybe January we'll start to see that little bit of a pullback, or at least maybe a test of the trend line. So that's kind of like what we're looking at kind of going forward. So that's kind of my expectations right there. So we'll see. There's a lot of talk out there that, hey, January might see a big pullback. We've pushed really far. Who knows? We'll see how it handles. We'll watch our trend lines. We'll wait for confirmation, and we'll see if it comes back down, holds the cloud. But generally, things are pretty bullish. The earnings have been pretty good. The only one that has been missing on earnings is Amazon. So we'll see. So we'll see how that goes. Let's take a look at the price action from Friday. Oh, by the way, I did want to go over the geometric channel here. So one of the cool things, this is let me extend this out a little bit. So one of the things that we've been looking at is this macro channel, right? So all the way up into, here's 2017, boom, we hit 2018, and then we get this flush, right? So is it possible that January of 2020 is going to see the same type of flush like this? Or is it going to come back and test those December lows? I don't know. I'm sure nobody's really excited about seeing that, except for the bears. But we'll see. So here's your channel right here. It's tested a few times, right? We undershot it there, and then we had our Christmas rally last year, and look what we've done all through that year. I mean, just incredible stuff, right? I mean, here's your super macro trend line right there. So I mean, that's one we don't want to really lose sight of, right? So if we do, come down off of the trend line we have now, right, it's technically like a bump of this potential bump and run. So if it does break below here, we'll see if it kind of comes down, maybe tags the top of the channel, and then works its way back up again. So that's kind of some key stuff that's happening right now. So we'll keep an eye on that. So that's kind of what we're looking at going forward. This week will probably be a little bit muted. A lot of traders on vacation, so we'll see. But that's also an opportunity for rug pulls to happen and things like that. So we'll be tactical through this week and through New Year's, and then I think 2020 is just gonna be an awesome year on either side of it, right? So we'll be on top of it for sure. So that being said, let's take a look at the price action here on the 15. So obviously, really, really choppy day. You saw that doji, right? We gapped up. This is your doji day right here. So we had our 15 orb, and we just kind of stayed within that range all day, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at right here. Here's the levels that we provide to our subscribers before every market open. This allows us just to kind of see what all the key levels are and to 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 use as guidance, right? So we could see those levels have been tested. And again, it was a choppy day, so we stayed around some key levels on those. So that being said, I'm really excited about talking about today's topic, or this week's topic. So so today again we're going to be talking about profitable day trading, intraday trend channels. Okay, this is from Harry Boxer. So he's been trading, I don't know, I think he's 50 years now in the market. So I mean the guy is pretty knowledgeable about what's going on. So it's pretty fun stuff, and pretty inspirational. I think you guys will really like it. So so let's take a look. Let's take a look at some examples. So this is about trend channels, right? And we've talked about channels in the past. We've done a whole series on channels, but this one's really interesting. I really like the techniques he's using. So so let's kind of delve into that a little bit here. So what he likes to use is the 1 minute chart for the intraday trading, right? So we'll go to 1 day, 1 minute, right? And then you can use whatever, you can use candlesticks, whatever you want to use. So I want to show a couple examples right here where we see it. Now, what he talks about in his book is he talks about using it with gaps, right? So we see a lot of gaps intraday. Like I did some testing on some recent gappers that we had, our 15 orb list and stuff, and they're a little bit challenging to see, but when you see it, it's really interesting. So one of the things he looks at, let's pull up Apple. Okay, so Apple, basically what we're looking at here, let's pull up the Friday chart. Obviously we gapped up on Friday. You don't really see any sort of trend channels going right here. Now, from what I can tell, he's mostly bullish on it. You could probably use it to the bearish side, but I think in general, if you're fighting trend, you probably don't want to do that, right? When nobody does, right? So we want to be on the side of trend. So one of the things that he talks about is using a trend channel to be like a 45-degree angle. Goodness, I'm losing. I think I lost something here. Hold on, sorry, 1 second. Sorry. Okay, good. All right. So one of the things, click the wrong button. One of the things he likes to see is that trend channel. He likes to see it at a 45-degree angle. I don't know if you guys can see, but on Thinkorswim, you can actually, when you draw this, it shows you your angles, right? But you can kind of get the idea, right? If you draw a square, right, you guys know what a 45-degree angle is, right? You would just basically take a square, right? So the general picture would be half of a 90-degree angle, right? So you would look for, oh dear, I clicked somewhere. Oh dear. All right, so you would look for something that basically intersects the the square, right? And that gives you about a 45-degree. That's actually a 35-degree angle, so it's actually pretty steep. So finding these intraday, is going to be rare, but I think they're worth looking for. So when we see these, I think it's important to take note and to try to draw them, and then you can kind of see it happening. So what I did is I went back and I saw this on Apple. Oh, I think like a day or so ago. There it is, right there. Okay, so I'm going to remove the cloud right now, although it is pretty cool to use. So so here you can see. Right, we have some key levels up here too, but here you can see at this day, this is on the 18th, right? So a couple days ago. So we see a bit of a pullback at the open. So right now, there's no real trend established. And then once if you guys remember the 10 OJ pattern, right, the 10 o'clock jiggle, right around 10 o'clock, things started to change, direction a little bit, right? So it also gave a 2B reversal here. So even this candle right here broke below this candle, and then once it broke above it, gave a nice pop up. So what that really started to do is define this new angle, and you can start to look for these. So when you start seeing a pivot that kind of moves up a little bit, right there is 16 degrees, but once you start seeing these pivots start to increase, like here, you can really see that at this point, this is a 45-degree, about a 35-degree angle. 45 is a little bit steeper, but very, very close. So what happens here is intraday, you look for pullbacks to the channel, and using our regular trend, our trend line techniques, right? We can look for breakouts of these, at these channels, right? So one of the things you can look for here, you draw, here's basically it started to form around this area, but you can look for like these moves right here, right? So you start to see a minor pivot right here, and once you broke over that minor pivot, right, it started to work its way up. Now it gave a pullback. This is the first real pullback to the kind of the channel area, and then from there, once we got over these pivots and these key levels, we got a really, really nice move up after that, right? And so instead of worrying about shorting these areas, right, wait for the next pullback to the channel, right? So each of these, kind of went halfway through the range, and finally we got this guy right here, So you can kind of do it from any one of these guys here using our techniques, and then boom. So right there you get, you got to wait. This is the afternoon, but this is fantastic, right? So once you get this breakout of this this trend line, right after the tag of the channel area, then you can ride this all the way up, right? So you're looking at 281, and eventually it's 281 and some change, 280, 281, and then it went up almost a point right here, which is pretty phenomenal. And then from there, you have your trend channel working its way up, and then once it started to break down the trend channel, then you could either look to get out or take your profit at your next level. These are the levels that we use intraday. So really, really good stuff, and this corresponds with a lot of the work that we do in our group, and I really like this, right? So this is a great way to look at bullish moving stocks that are trending. and then to catch these angles. And then here you can see, obviously this day it broke down pretty nasty right here, but you would see that it's testing the channel, trying to break below it, and then once you get confirmation below it, there's this, it's game over at that point, right? But you can see this sets up really, really nicely. So definitely a good tool to use and to look at using, going forward. So definitely, keep that in mind. Let's take a look at another example of one that's been trending, pretty well. Let's look at Tesla. Excuse me, grab a little drink of water here. So Tesla's been huge, right? We basically had this monthly move, right, as it crossed over the monthly 50 MA. Kind of gave like a little bit of a doji sandwich type move and pushed all the way to all-time highs. And this all happened after the truck event. And after we started getting strength after that truck event, this is one of the levels that we used. We can see we closed above this level here, filled the gap, and then got this nice momentum move up. Oh my goodness, excuse me. So now you can see this trend is really in force, right? There's lots of volume coming in. The candles are starting to get green and really strong. You had a nice doji sandwich here to the upside. And so from there, when you're in this bullish trend, you can tell things are getting momentum. You're looking for intraday entries. We can go down to the day trading chart, the 1 minute chart, and you can see here, I believe, where do we go? Here, so same day on the 18th, you can see that Tesla was trending up really nicely that day. So it gave a couple pullbacks right here. Again, the angle is not exactly 45 degrees is really steep. 45 degrees is about this. I think that's kind of a rare one to find. But when you see a nice angle on these that's pretty reasonable like this, and you can start to draw a channel, I think you can start to see nice pullbacks on them for entries. So here you can see, Tesla pushed up really, really high here. It consolidated, gave a little morning pullback, right? A little 10 o'clock jiggle to the downside, right? And then it worked its way up, right? You tied the top of the channel, and then now you have this channel essentially established at these angles. Came back down here, right? You have that set. So you wait for the next pullback to that area. Right here, you see a nice breakout to move to the top of the channel. It's 390 all the way up to 393 to the top of the channel. It broke out a little bit farther and got to that 395 area. So that's really, really impressive stuff. And I think this is one that we're gonna probably take a look at more going forward. But really, really cool stuff. And and yeah, so definitely look for these on ones that are trending. So look for those pullbacks and find those breakouts. So the rest of this week we're going to look at some other tools that we can use to help manage these channels, and using some different techniques, and we'll talk about that this week during this holiday week. So at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those into the chat window. We'll get through as many as we can. We'll try to wrap up as early as possible so everybody can get a good night's sleep and have an awesome start of the trading week this week. So good stuff. Awesome. Good. So we had a few that came in through Twitter and email. So Stock Recycler wanted to bring up a couple of these that he saw some buying pressure on. So let's take a look at these first. So let's look at AA. Let's go to the daily. Okay, so AA. Alcoa. So definitely some big volume coming in here in a consolidated pattern, right? So we saw these 2 days here had some big volume coming in. Looks like it was trying to break out of the cloud on the daily. And now we saw a little pullback into this resistance of the cloud. So we got a little bit of a gap above here. So this is actually looking pretty interesting here, right? So if we can close bullishly above that with this type of volume, right, we could definitely see a gap fill. Now, of course, it might close above it, fill that gap. Just have to be careful with the 200-day moving average on that one. So that's one that we'd be looking at. iRobot, IRBT. Let's take a look here. So 50-day moving average, it did break the 50-day moving average, starting to move into the cloud right here. We are seeing some increasing volume. Now, there was a lot of volume altogether on Friday because of rebalancing and things like that, options expiration. So, but we did see some increased volume in these areas right here as it did a 180 reversal. So now, we have some key levels. I would probably use this guy right here as the next level up. You got a gap above there, right in here. So if we can get above these levels, let's see if we can tag the top of the cloud and possibly break out of it. So that's getting pretty interesting there. And then KHC. So KHC, yeah, we are seeing some increasing volume here, which is pretty cool. It did break above these levels right here and then start a new consolidation pattern. Now this is Kraft Heinz, so it's kind of a slow mover, but sometimes it can break. Remember, it had this awesome earnings move, gap and go off of this, kind of cup and handle type pattern that it was working on. So it's been consolidating. We're seeing some increasing volume. So let's see if we can close above it. You have a gap right here, and then your next level up, of course, are those earnings gap highs. So that's looking very interesting there. Awesome, great ones. And Blob Broca came in with a couple. Let's see. So we've got Boeing. Just kidding. Bava. So this has been pretty interesting, right? This was the old trend box right here. It was looking pretty neat. We've obviously broken over that. So that was a breakout move right there. So it's continuing to trend up, right? And so if we put kind of our bump and run line right here, we can see that we are still trending up pretty massively. I would just be careful here. You're at that 213 level and a little bit of a topping tail. But if the market wants to get super strong, right, it can get, it can do it can try, right? So we closed above this with a little bit of a topping tail. So that's kind of a major level right there. Let's see if it can hold and continue to build from there. So that's looking pretty impressive as well. Okay, and then Baidu, right? The other Chinese name, the other big mover. Now this one hasn't moved in a while, but it's starting to, right? So this one gets really complicated. So I typically try to avoid these, but we are seeing some increasing volume as it got over the 200-day moving average. So let's see if it can gave a doji that day too. It's even closed bullishly above these levels here. Right, that last close there is good. So it's showing it's really working on trying to get over these levels. Let's see if we can continue to close and get bullish over these here. So let's see the last huge gap down right here. Right, we can see there's a gap fill area there. Okay, so that would be a reasonable potential target if this thing really wants to go. So again, usually I've traded Baidu before. It doesn't like to move in straight lines. It likes to make these crazy breakout moves and then consolidate, give little cup and handles, and then mess around for a while. So this level is key for it to hold. If it can hold that, I like that we're over the 200-day moving average. I like that the 50-day moving average is coming up for a potential gold cross coming in the future. So maybe in 2020, especially if the trade deal goes through, right, which is also talks are scheduled in January. So if they are good, right, Baidu could be one that makes a move. So good stuff there. And then Shirley sent a few, and she sent a bunch in, and she asked me to pick out the best ones, which I usually do anyway. But she sent in a couple ones that have been pretty hot right now. So we have AMD. AMD basically at all-time highs, right? Not quite. I mean, if you go to the monthly chart and zoom back to forever, that's 10 years back. I think max available. Where's that last level? Oh no, yeah, we're good. I think we're at all-time highs. Oh no, 4850 is the all-time high on AMD. So that's up here, 4850. Couple key breakdown levels. We did close above this major pivot right here, right? So AMD could be a big mover coming forward. That's on the monthly chart. Let's take a look and see where we're at here on the daily. So in the daily, we've closed above all these major levels right here. We've got a fib fan line right here. So between here and 4850 is only 4 points away. Pretty incredible move considering we were looking very bullishly in this area here once we got over the 50-day moving average in the cloud. Right, worked its way up, a little bit of a pullback to the macro trend line, and then back up again. So that's starting to look very interesting too. Let's take a look. MRK. MRK's been pretty interesting. It's had some crazy moves, but it the pharma sector and healthcare and all that stuff has been pretty bullish. And you can see in general off of this double inside day here, it really started kind of its trend up, right? And then we're seeing this here. So again, the trend is up until proven otherwise. Again, had a pretty crazy day on Friday. So let's see how that doji holds. If it comes back and tests, fills this gap, tests this trend line, then tries to work its way back up. Visa's been one that's been tough to really catch on any sort of swing type move. It is a very tricky stock to trade. If just going back historically and looking at it, it likes to be sloppy, right? It likes to slop its way up. So this is not really a great breakout stock. It could, right? This is a key level right here. We finally closed above that, so it's at very, 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 very bullish areas right here. I think it's all-time highs, close to the nice hammer over those, good volume. So let's see if this one decides it wants to build. Definitely looking bullish, kind of, long-termish, right, if it holds these levels. Target is a good one to look at. This, we had a big earnings gap up. It's been holding these levels really well, right? Here's a recent trend line breakout that we saw, right? But this is another one that only likes to move on, very, very specific news, usually on earnings, right? But, if you can catch a good swing on this one, it can move. These were actually hypothetical areas right here, that one and that one. So we were talking about a pullback mirror. We said, I think it could pull back, work its way up, and it clearly did that. But it's not, it's not the prettiest moving stock in the world. But I do like that it's still working its way up after the earnings move. And then CERN, C-E-R-N. Cernel Corp. Big close on Friday. I do like this, very bullish. Close, that big candle cut through all those levels there. You just have to be careful. Shirley, you got a couple levels coming up here. You've got this guy, right? And then, a couple breakdown levels right here. And then finally that 76.47 is going to be a key area to get to. So let's see how it does there. Good, awesome. Good stuff so far. Good. SMDC4S. Awesome. I hope you had a great weekend. Experience and thoughts. Good evening. I hope you had a great weekend too. Good to see you. Cobb. Manesh, what's going on? Hope you're doing great. Shop. Yeah, let's take a look at Shop. So let's take a look at Shop. Is Shop ready to drop is really the real question right here. So, Roku and Shop have kind of been doing the same type of pattern. They both had these crazy moves up, right? You can see this big channel right here, the impulsive channel up, right? And then hit all-time highs, and they give this sharp move down. Whenever you see that, right, you do your wave count on it. Here we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means we're starting a zigzag pattern, right? So there's your 5 move down. So the next key thing was tracking the ABC. Correct, is your 5, 3, 5. Now the 3 can be, a big flat, and that's what it looks like. We thought maybe this was the 3 initially. ABC up. I love how we had a doji right here at the 50% retracement in the cloud and the 50-day moving average. I mean, all these things in conjunction, and then boom, went down, right? But it only came down to the median line of this, the midpoint line of this channel, right? And then it kind of came back up again, tagged the top of the channel, and came back down again. So to me now, it looks like ABCA, ABCB, so that's 3, 3, and 5. So you'd expect a 5 wave up, and now we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, right, for 3, and then 4, and then 5 might be in. Right, so we're really, really close to the all-time highs, and by rule, the zigzags can't break the start of wave A. So it got really, really close up here to wave A, right, which is this 409.61 level. We got an inside day, and we closed below it. So I put a trend line on this. We have now broken down below the trend line. So a bearish close below this level would most likely lead a move down to this level. Now, a zigzag down can be a very, very powerful pattern, right? So the wave C is usually impulsive, right? Well, obviously a 5 wave down is impulsive anyway, and usually about the same size or so as wave A, right? So if we look at that, right, that size there, and we start it here, if we're starting this right now, you can see what's going on, right? We could be starting a wave through down. There's a thin cloud here it could get through, right? And we could see this thing push down, possibly even below 300, into early next year if this is really kind of starting. So this is one we've definitely been watching. It's crazy trading intraday, right? But if you can catch the right move on, I was hoping it would get really, really close to this 409.61 level. So I'm still, we're in the trend box right now of this trend line right here. So if it does work itself up and take this levels out, I think to me, it would be a good shorting opportunity with a very, very defined stop up here just over the all-time highs, and then we'll see if it can work its way back down. Other than that, I'm going to be tracking shop on the bearish list as long as it doesn't start to move itself up for strong intraday moves to the downside. So that should be pretty interesting as well. Okay, Harvey, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing great. Manoj, hello. Good to see you. Superstar, what's going on? Okay, let's look at Google. Good old Google. I really don't track this one much anymore. It has just been really off, really off for the last year in terms. It has big moves, but this is one you just kind of have to get and keep your fingers crossed and hopefully it moves. Because intraday the options are crazy, the spreads are nuts, and it jumps around all the time. So right now, we're kind of have a macro trend line pitchfork level up here at this 1383, 1385 level. Hit a big reversal day on Friday. Bearish candle. So we'll see if it can, if it can hold these levels. We got, kind of some levels here. We got some levels here. Got an open gap here, right? So these are, some key levels for it to hold. You got an open gap down here, so you got to be careful. This thing, if the market gets weak and this thing starts going, right, this could really, really push down fast. So just be careful with that one. As always with Google. Goodness gracious. Good stuff. But thank you for tuning in. Manoj, question: what do we expect next year? So you heard me talk about in the beginning, right, kind of where we're at on the SPX, right? So, SPX, everybody's saying, hey, it's extended and all that stuff. How high can it go? It can go as high as it wants to, right? So, but generally, we're bullish until proven otherwise. We have our bullish move right here, right? We've got our bump and run right here. So we'll see. It may fill these gaps and kind of test some of these levels into the end of the year, but I think they'll still continue to push it up, for window dressing, right? So everybody wants to have the S&P. It's like, how come you didn't have S&P at the end of the year? It's been, super bullish. So probably going to try to hold it up into the end of the year, and then we'll see. I think January is going to be a key frame. Now, it may do the opposite of what it did last year. Last year, it spiked down. Maybe it'll spike up, and then who knows, maybe it'll be a blow up top, and then we'll start to see a corrective pattern down. But either way, I'm not going to make too many assumptions, right? As long as we're bullish and holding trend, right, we just go with the trend, right? And then once it starts to break down our channels, or break down our trend lines, then we'll experience the thoughts, then we'll adjust, right, and be tactical, right? But we'll evaluate it and see if it makes sense to switch positions. So we'll see what it does. Okay. Good stuff. So let's take a look. Yeah. So let's look at Tesla. So Tesla obviously has been super duper bullish, right? Broke out, hit this 413 level. it looks like it could actually have more room to go, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it came back and tested the prior all-time highs levels, which we have here, and then maybe work its way up. Maybe it'll get to that 420 mark, and then some shenanigans will happen, right? Maybe it hits like 421, and then starts to work its way down or something like that. So, but in the meantime, it's holding the prior all-time highs, so that's kind of your key reference level right there for Tesla right now. Okay, and Apple, I think same thing. I think Apple is starting to get extended. I mean, they just keep on giving, upgrade after upgrade after upgrade, right? And they're, it's been pushing up, all the way to the end of the year. You had a big day on Friday, right? Big moves, but it's still holding its trend, right? So, let's see what they do. I think that's one that's gonna stay up into the end of the year. They may again, get a move down, fill a gap or something like that. But my thought is that it's gonna be strong into the end of the year, and then maybe somewhere mid-January, you know, it'll give a little down move or something. Maybe it'll test the cloud. But that's just my theory on it. So, but again, bullish until proven otherwise. So, and then FedEx, nice one. So this has been on the bearish radar right now. We'll see how it holds, right? It held some key levels. It had a nasty move down on earnings, right? Bad outlook, right? Losing business with Amazon. Inside day on Friday, right? So it's kind of consolidating this area. If it breaks down below the earnings low, with any sort of authority, right? I think it could push down here and fill this gap, right? And test those levels. Right now, pretty bearish on FedEx. So, okay, but we'll see how it holds out inside day. It may break out to the upside. Cool one. What's going on? Good to see you. Session. Thanks for tuning in, man. Ulta, let's take a look. Ulta with an inside day as it breaks out of this crazy wedge pattern on the cloud. So we got a little bit of a gap here that never got filled yet, and so that's kind of a key level. It also corresponds with this cloud level right here. It's a thin cloud. So again, this is kind of like one of those, what is it? They might take it off the list, but was that IBD 50, stocks, right? So it got pretty beat up last earnings. It's been in this consolidation pattern for a while. It had last earnings that gave a nice gap up for it. It gave us actually a little bit of a nice move that day too. And then a key reversal because it couldn't get over this pivot level and came back down off of it. So we'll see. Honestly, it'll probably do a little consolidation pattern. Then it might try to break out. We have this huge macro trend line right here that's kind of coming up whenever it wants to get to it. It could be mid-January again until it gets to that and then try to work its way up too. But it'll be on the list. AMBA with an inside day. Interesting levels right here. It does have room to go to this last breakdown level. It might want to test the scene of the breakdown here at 60. 60 and 30 something cents. So let's see if it gets out of that cloud. I like how it's holding the fib fan line. Next level is up here. So that could be pretty interesting as well. W day. Break out of the 50-day moving average. Coming up on the cloud right here. See if it gets over that. And we got here, trend line. Yeah, so I mean, it's working its way up pretty strong. W day, I love it. It's been holding this macro channel down too. This one looks like it could be pretty bullish, and I think it should be on our radar. We've got a couple little pivot levels right here. So basically, over the cloud is the key thing. And let's see if it works its way up there. And then it might test, the 173 level, and then that breakdown level right there. So it's kind of in the works. But yeah, definitely should be on the bullish radar. Okay, it came back and tested that channel too, so that's looking pretty good. Lulu, strong day the other day. Inside day, failed to break down. And when you see those, oftentimes we see a nice move up. Of course, it did it here. Right, tried to break up, came down, held these levels, right? So it's trying to work its way up. So bullish day on Friday. Let's see if we can test these all-time highs, right? It's kind of the idea on that one. And then RH, I don't have to look at it, bullish, right? So it had a great earnings move, guys. This gap and go that day was phenomenal. The spreads were rough on options, but goodness gracious, it moved like 20 points that day or something like that. Yeah, the range of this candle was 24 points. Incredible move. And then it did the tactic that we've talked about here before, right? Big gap up day. Break it over the gap up day high gives you another move right there. So that's just a nice little tactical play right there. You hit your inside day, broke it down, right? It's kind of chopping around. But right now it's holding its gap pretty well, consolidating. So we've got a little trend line right here, right? So if we close above here, I can start to get bullish again, then test the scene of the breakdown. Okay, good stuff. Alex, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Beyond, let's take a look. So Beyond, gosh, this thing has been consolidating forever. It was fun to trade for a little bit, right? And then it was just like, right, give a couple moves up, try to get out of here. This is the macro trend line right here. And now we're kind of, we've drawn it down a little bit farther. So, honestly, it's just got to get over a couple of these levels. 50-day moving average, cloud. It's got a lot of work to do. But if we can get in the cloud bullishly, it could start to work its way back up. Work. Let's see. Under the 50-day moving average, right? It's always cool in these IPOs like it's the 50-day moving average started here, right? You gotta wait 50 days at least, right? Something like that. So anyway, so you get here. Let's see if we can get over that. Get in the cloud. It's got a lot of levels to clear. Once it gets over these guys, right, which happens to correspond with the cloud too, right? We might start seeing a move on this thing. I think they had weren't they somewhat more profitable than expected? Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get some moves on that. GDX. Cool. A little minor action right here. Not minor as in small, but minor with an E, right? So trying to get over these levels right here. Let's see if we can pop over this guy right here. Get us over the cloud. And try to test some of these levels right here. Here's your cloud. All right. Okay, and see if we can get over those. Another level right here. It's just lots of tight levels right here, so it's tough. But this is definitely one to go to if the market starts to get weak. Right, and it can start to work its way back up. Just a lot of tight levels there. It makes it a little bit tough. And then Starbucks. I've been trying to buy the drip on this thing in a while. I like how the 50-day moving average is starting to curl up. It's a little bit of a magnetic resistance here, the 200 days. So if they could both start moving up, this thing can get out of the cloud and start to go. Right, next levels are kind of like here. I got a closing gap up there, so that could be pretty interesting. So let's see if Starbucks can get going again. That'd be cool. Cool one. What's up? FTNT. Bearish engulfing, maybe reversal. Let's take a look. FTNT. Fortinet. Yeah, it is a bearish engulfing candle right there, right at this huge move. It had an epic move up. It is right at this macro trend line right here, so just be careful with that. So again, what we'd want to see is a close below there, and then hope with some volume, and then another push below there, and then we might see this thing start to work its way to the cloud. Otherwise, just be careful. That could be a bear trap, right? As it's holding its macro, it just came down to the trend line, so just be careful with that. But yeah, nice. Seneca, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. TTD, yes. This one's been on the radar too. It's getting really, really close to this pivot level right here. I like it. It's starting to build. Let's see if we can close above that and then work its way up again. ANTM. Yep. So technically, this is still in the still in the trend box here. So here's your trend box. So it has been super duper bullish in the trend box, trying to get its way up past this guy right here. If it can do that, right, we can shift our trend line, right, and that would push it here, and then we'd be bullish till proven otherwise, and then we got to deal with those levels, there, a couple of those inside day high right there, things like that. Okay, so we can get over those and then see if it continues. Now it's a pretty fast move up here, but it doesn't mean that it cares, right? It can move once it starts moving. It can really move. This is an amazing one too. This is a key inside bar right here that started to work its way up. Double inside day here. Continue to work up after earnings. Broke out of the cloud. Got over the 200-day moving average. Now you got this gold cross right here on your 50 and 200, right? So things are looking pretty good on it. ADSK. Double inside day gap up, came to test the other side of the waves. I wouldn't be surprised if it tested the bottom of that double inside day, but it's still generally bullish right here. We have a fresh high, so we can do a fresh trend line on it. So it's got some room to the trend line still. So just keep an eye on that. And then of course you have this as well. That'd be a better one to keep an eye on. That's more macro. Let me move that. Sorry. There. So yeah, it's holding that macro trend line so far. So see if it holds that and continues to do so. And then Baidu, yeah, I'm liking these. The Chinese names. These are ones that could really spike if we get more good trade deal stuff going. I love the kind of this double bottom type deal right here, right, holding its each of those bottoms too held the gap, right, its earnings gap area, and then if we continue to close bullish and close above these levels, I think it could get a little bit going. Nice volume too coming in here as well. So looking good. Wendy, what's going on? Good morning. Hope everything's going great in Singapore. Glob. The Glob. Let's take a look. Yeah, big day on Friday. Kind of dealing with some key levels right here. You got your inside day level right there. You got this pivot right here. And you got this guy right here. Right? And you got, where did that go? There. And you got this one right here. Okay, so a couple key levels of resistance that it's got to get through, but let's see if it can continue to climb. Right, and then if it does, just kind of move stops up and see if it gets to the next level and kind of works its way up. But yeah, generally, I mean, honestly, it looks like it's kind of breaking out of, or maybe it's right at a triangle, symmetrical triangle type pattern here. So you have this as well. Okay, so just a lot of key levels right here. So let's see if we can get above that and then try to get to these levels right here. But it's looking very interesting. Rita, oh yeah, oh Rita, right. So anyway, this is one we looked at a while back. Right, we had this upward trend line right here, pull back a little bit, started to get out of the cloud here, 1, 2, 3, right up, kind of like three white soldiers, and then boom, huge gap up the next day, and then it held this, pretty impressively for a while. Started to break down here, but here's your first breakdown below the channel, couldn't do it, double inside day, finally closed below here, on earnings, and then said nope, 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 back up. So it's still holding all these levels right here. So generally, still bullish. See if it can, might consolidate a little bit, see if it tags that 50-day moving average and then start to work its way up. Mickey D's, McDonald's, McDonaldo. Nasty day on Friday right there, so that creates a new level for it to try to get over. So that's kind of a key level for it here. There's a couple theories that we had previously. There's a couple levels if it closed bullshit, which it never did. But it is holding a couple things. The 50 is below the 200 now. That's a little bit sketchy. It's got some work to do to really work its way up. Again, it's got the cloud to deal with here, but it's got a beautiful gap up there. If it could actually get a bid somehow, I haven't really heard much out of it recently. And then MO. What's your MO? Two bearish days in a row. Let's see if it pulls back a little bit more on that. But Altria. So let's see. Decent volume here on Friday. Obviously, had a lot of rebalancing type stuff going on. Ex dividend coming up Christmas Eve. So may pull back a little bit to these prior levels, and then let's see if we kind of work out of there. Good stuff. Yeah, great charts. Matthew, what's happening? Good to see you, man. Jay, what's going on? Hello, hello. Osiris, what's going on? Is this live? I'd like to think so. I hope so. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Goldman Sachs. Yes, we are live. We go live every market night. So it's Sunday night, so it's a market night. We're working tomorrow. So we go live. So a little bit of a bull flag possibly on Goldman Sachs right now. So see if that holds. Had a pretty epic little move up here. So it's kind of right at this trend line too. So see if it's got to hold, right? Otherwise, if it breaks down, we've got a closing gap right here. Could test like these prior. See these were prior resistance right here. So see if it holds that as support, right? So it may come down, test that, right, and then try to work its way back up again into earnings. Earnings season coming up again eventually, mid-January. So we'll see how that goes. This could be good. Awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, Jay Cag. Cadagra. Whoa! Look at that one. So huge day right here. Why did it go like that? Well, what do we always talk about, right? When we look for earnings, right? We want to get over key pivot levels on earnings. If we can get above that, right, then we can see a gap and go, and that's exactly what we got right here. So pretty impressive stuff. Now, it had some selling pressure in these areas. We also had an open gap right here, which it just got to. Broke above the earnings gap high, right, and gave a little bit of a spike up of that and closed above it. So it filled the gap, and it's holding, right? But now it's got, a couple other key levels up here, so you just kind of have to see how it handles those, right? So we got that breakdown level, this breakdown level, this breakdown level. You got these guys up here. So it's got some levels to work with right now. It's probably not going to be, that type of straight up move like it had after earnings, and it may consolidate a little bit. And it's sort of like RH did, right? If we go back to RH, had that big move up, that nice next day, and then just kind of consolidated a little bit. So so don't be surprised if you see that with CAG. But yeah, a couple great moves on that one. And then RL. Okay, so it's right there at, it's basically holding this prior pivot level right here. You got a couple closing gaps here, open gap up here. Looking pretty good. I mean, the breakout of this trend line was really good. We talked about it on the live stream not too long ago. Right at the 200-day moving average and worked its way up to that pivot level. So it's kind of like its first target. Now let's see, you may want to retest, some of these levels down here. You had, prior pivot levels here. You might want to test. So just kind of keep those in mind there. Okay, and then M. Macy's. So Macy's still struggling, with a lot of areas right here. It's kind of a mess. It's had a couple decent moves, right? It's held, earnings okay, and it's just a lot of levels right here that it's got to deal with. Hopefully, eventually, it can work its way into that gap. Then you got all these other levels it's got to deal with. It's really, really tricky right now. It'd have to have something amazing to get it really, really going again. Good session. Sneaking in another one, GLD. It's all good. Yeah, so GLD is interesting, right? We saw this descending triangle last time we talked about it, right? So I think we had an inside day, on Friday. So that's good. So see if that breaks above that and can get over this channel. Then you get your cloud right there for it to work on. Alex, CGC. CGC, the pot stocks. Let's see. So this one, this is a fun one that we talked about not too long ago, right? With this descending channel right here, right? We got this move up, right? This is using our trend lines. Let's move up to the channel. You gotta love this. This is kind of opposite what we were talking about, those day trading channels today, right? You had your trend line up to the downward channel, and then boom, nice move down on that one. Then it consolidated basically in this level, had some rough earnings, and then you had like Canadian law stuff coming through, and it started to really work its way up there. And it's like, oh, is this bullish? Well, it can't go to the 50 or the cloud, so it kind of came back in, retested the channel area. Now it's kind of slowly, sort of, kind of working its way up, right? So you want to check there. It found some resistance at that pivot, right? It's got a lot of pivots it's got to deal with, so it's gonna have some major news for it to work its way up. You got a gap level up here, but let's see if it can close above those levels first. Good session for slow movers or weird movers. I go to longer time frames to help get rid of the chop and noise. Absolutely, definitely the way to do it. Good for this little one. Absolutely, totally. Weekly, monthly charts can kind of tune out all that noise for sure. Cool one. RNG. Let's take a look. Yeah, pretty neat here, guys. This is one that we've looked at, based on this upward channel right here. So this channel represents, it was a classic overshoot pattern, right? So you had this overshoot for a wave 5, and then we've been kind of looking at this ABC type pattern here. So to me, this looks like maybe like a 5, 3. It's hard. We're in the middle of the channel right here. For some reason, if we can get into this cloud, it seems like we might want to retest that channel again and be done. And then maybe it'll work its way back up again. Maybe it'll tag the 200-day moving average and then try to work its way back up again. WDC. WDC. Definitely filled a gap right here, which is pretty cool. So it's in that gap. It had a pretty strong move up here, pretty epic. So see if it holds those levels right here. This has kind of gone along with the rest of the semiconductor type industry, right? It's got, did it fill that gap? Low 61.33, high 61.27. Didn't quite fill this gap yet, so that could be a potential target. But it could find resistance off of that. You do have another closing gap right here, and then you got this pivot level right here that could try to work its way to. And then, of course, you've got these guys right here, open gap right here still. So it's got a couple key levels that it needs to work on and build and show that it's got strength over those levels. So pretty fast move right here. I wouldn't be surprised if it consolidated a little bit, maybe even pull back a little bit. But see how it holds that trend line right there. And Vive. Looks like a head and shoulders. Let's take a look at Vive. Okay, so Vive, one of my friends pointed out, that tagged this level about like 4 times right here. So it's right at it with an inside day. So, see how it holds this level, right? So it's a prior gap level that it's been just kind of just testing these price ranges right here. You have this kind of descending, type triangle look to it, which is bearish, in general. But let's see if it holds that. But if it can get above that, right, we might see, a tag of this pivot and then maybe try to work its way up again. Good stuff. And then the head and shoulders, yeah, like a little minor head and shoulder like there, and possibly there. And then, the funny thing is head and shoulders tend to be bullish overall. So you can see a move off of these levels too as well. So, but if it does break below, then, look out below. So, good stuff. Session ping. Ping, ping. Wow, look at that. Inside day up on that one. That's an interesting one. Yeah, nice highs right there. This is like a IPO type one, right? So it got over its second day IPO move, got over these pivots. Right now you're at these highs right here. So yeah, so see if we can work its way up. Definitely getting some interest in that one. Jay, what's going on? FCX and Voight. FCX. Okay, so FCX, you've got the it just filled its gap up here with a double inside day, kind of tested those levels. It looks like it's kind of like a little, it's got a gap below and all that stuff. So it might test there, right? And it might test, this prior resistance level as support. And then Voight. Voight Corp is not pulling up for some reason on this. I apologize. It doesn't want to show. Okay, I'm going to skip to the next one, Jay, but not great charts tonight. Natchcat, what's going on? Break, FTNT. Yep, we're just looking at this one a little bit. So let's see what it does. We're right at that trend line right there. So that's kind of a key thing. Seneca, you've been trying to make sure day trade is a swing thesis before trading. Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. And we're going to do more on the looking at multiple time frames too, in a future series to Seneca. Natchcat, yeah, let's look at Apple. Absolutely, yeah. So Apple right, is I mean, bullish until proven otherwise, right? So pretty impressive stuff, right? I mean, it's incredible, move up, upgrade after upgrade after upgrade. It's kind of consolidating right now. Had a bearish day on Friday, but again, a lot of that has to do with the rebalancing. That's why you see that big volume, right? So we'll see how that holds. There's a little gap below, so we can see if that gets tested. I think they're going to continue to hold this one up in the end of January, and then we might see a move down in the cloud. Hey, Donnie, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Amazon, Amazonius. Yeah, so Amazon's been pretty interesting. You guys, if you guys look at my charts on Twitter, right, you can see that we have this is just a little bit more complex, right? Because we have the cloud in there and all that stuff. But general, right? We had this big move down recently. Right, here's your macro trend line. So we're really in this trend box of that macro trend line. It gave a big push up, sort of like Netflix has been doing here, but it rejected the 200-day moving average. Right, came back down to the 50 in the cloud, and now it's just kind of in this weird consolidation pattern right here. Inverse hot dog pattern was a hot dog, now another hot dog. It's a double decker, right? So we'll see if it holds those levels right here. Again, if the market gets a little bit bearish, right, we could see it, kind of like this little gap fill type thing, test the cloud, and then work its way up. Again, if it pushes its way out of this, can close bullishly above this trend box, we might see a move, a strong move up, and it's got all these nice gaps above and all that stuff. So who knows? Maybe after the whole Christmas season, right, they'll issue some good news or something like that and get Amazon going again. Jay, what's going on? It's always a pleasure. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, man, and I always appreciate you tuning in always. So thank you, thanks, guys. Natchka, yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, good, awesome stuff. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed talking about today's topic. I think it's really interesting. Profitable day tendering using intraday trend channels. This week we're going to go over some techniques with that. Again, expect kind of a slow week this week, but who knows? Sometimes when a lot of traders away, things move even more on news. So we'll see what they do this week, what kind of shenanigans they're up to. So half day on Christmas Eve. Christmas we're off, and then we're back at it on Thursday and Friday. So, but either way, if you guys are vacationing, I hope you guys enjoy your week with your family. And if you get to look at the markets, or have an opportunity to tune in the evenings, we'll be here, getting ready for the next market day, just because it's what we do. So, I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you're new here, I see some new faces out there, so please subscribe on YouTube and check us out whenever you want to tune in and just ask a question about a chart. We do this every market night, 9:30 Eastern time, or New York time, I like to call it. So definitely check us out, and also check out the links in the description. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.